Hello, Haley and Bill. It's such an honor to have you as a guest on the Paleo Gardening Expert Interview segment. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Haley and Bill Staley are well-known cookbook authors, bloggers, and sell paleo spice mixes. They have written 4 cookbooks and the ebook 30-Day Guide to Paleo. So how would you both explain all that you do to anyone unfamiliar with your work?
Well, we do a lot of different things. It all started with us creating a paleo food blog back in 2010, coming up on just about 6 years that we've been doing that. So at the core of what we do is we really just provide great paleo recipes for people, and it sort of branched out from the strictest sense of paleo to encompassing things like primal, which includes dairy, even some more gluten-free type recipes too, but we really try, as our audience has grown, we've tried to encompass a lot more dietary styles that can help more people find great recipes. So we have a recipe website called primalpalate.com, and there's so many different facets to that website that are really interesting. Like we have a free online meal planner, which we've done for at least 2 years now. We allow people to upload their own recipes to the website, which is cool because they can do meal planning with their own recipes. We also have 12 different dietary restriction type filters on the site. So if you have a nut allergy or a dairy allergy or an egg allergy, there's 12 different dimensions that you can combine and sort the recipes on the site. There's about 2,000 recipes on the website, so you can sort all of the recipes by dietary restrictions. So, the idea of, explaining to somebody what we do is sort of a lengthy discussion, but we have the website. We also have 4 best-selling cookbooks out: Make It Paleo, Make It Paleo 2, a hardback book called Gather, which is about entertaining, and a 30-day guide to paleo cooking book. We also have a line of organic spices, which we launched last year, and we have 9 different spice blends and a variety of straight spices that you can cook with too. We're always sort of expanding that, and we've got some other interesting stuff on the way, but nothing that we can really talk about yet. But Primal Palate is sort of a multifaceted company. It's the website, the cookbooks, the recipes, the spices. It's sort of an all-encompassing food startup, really.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place to land if you're trying to get it figured out. And I love the idea that, we can do the recipes and then pull out the restrictions. That's so hard because you're like, oh, I want to make brownies, and then every recipe has like almond flour in it or something like that. That's really unique. I had not heard of that before.
Yeah, that was something that was really important to us because we know that, when we first started blogging, we didn't really see a lot of people that were like, oh, I can't have nuts, I can't have nightshades. That conversation was just sort of starting. And now, there's the AIP community that has just grown, in a really huge way. And we really try and accommodate everyone. I mean, Bill and I have our own sensitivities with certain foods, but, generally we're not like AIP bloggers specifically or low FODMAP or anything like that. So, but we really try and offer things for everyone. And that, those filters were really important to us because we knew that as this community grows, there's so many different, everyone is different with their own version of paleo, and we really wanted, people to be able to navigate the recipes on our website easily so that they could, find what they needed for them.
Yeah, that's cool. So everybody has a unique story of how they regain their health in the paleo world. could you tell me about your journey to health, starting with the paleo diet?
I guess I'd start by saying that neither of us actually really started paleo to heal from anything.
Yeah, I found it actually for like weight loss. I always struggled with my weight. And I did sort of a pretty restricted diet and finally lost some weight, and the follow-up to it was basically a paleo template. And so that's how I found paleo. And then, you know, so during that I was doing some CrossFit, and it was just so new then that no one really knew what it was. I didn't understand it. But it was the first time in my life that I had eaten a certain way, and I felt good, really good, and I was keeping weight off easily. So I really just stuck with it. But it's more of been like our journey throughout paleo, where we, you know, the two of us have realized, you know, stuff that wasn't working, and we had to really tweak stuff. Or, you know, like Bill ended up realizing he had a very serious, like, leaky gut issue, and he had to heal that, like, year 2 of paleo or year 3. And I recently have had a little bit more health issues with realizing that we lived in a moldy house before we got married. So I've had to do, you know, I thought I had like candida, and then I realized it was actually a mold issue. So there's been things that we've dealt with after paleo. So we didn't actually find paleo because we had a health issue that it healed. But it was more of like our own journey through paleo sort of helped us uncover other underlying issues that we've been able to target and work on.
That's unique. I've never had, most people are like, oh, something's really wrong, I'm searching, I'm finding. But that's really cool that you went into the paleo for the weight loss, and then you could unravel other things in your environment that were causing health issues. So that's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see you both accomplish so much together. So what are the roles you both play when collaborating on your cookbook?
So we both sort of have unique roles. The thing that's sort of great is that we can both sort of run the business end to end without each other. Like I can cook, although I primarily do the photography, and Hayley is a really, really good cook, but she's learned how to take great photography along the way too. So when we're typically writing a book or even just something for the website, typically one of us will come up with an idea. We'll sort of brainstorm the recipe together. Although if it's baking, it's pretty much all Hayley. I'm not really so much one for baking. But she'll come up with a recipe, and then we'll make it sometimes together, although usually it'll be Hayley doing most of the cooking. And then we'll do the photo together too. So I typically am the one who takes the photo, but Hayley does most of the food styling and the preparation for it. And so it's just like a team effort. Like we both can do both. Like there have been days where she's done a recipe start to finish and photographed it and like done photo editing. And then vice versa. Sometimes I'll come up with something I want to make, and I'll cook it completely and take a photo and do all that too. But
there are some things that I really cannot do, like web development type stuff. That's a little more Bill. But when we're working on a book, it's, I guess, more of the development of like the recipes and, you know, the look and feel. Like it's a little more of my sort of brainchild, and then Bill is sort of a little more in charge of the photography, but we really work together pretty equally on the whole thing. So
that's good. That's always fun when you can work together. My husband and I, you know, we run the farm together, and it's great seeing him all day long. He's my best friend, and I'm his best friend, and it's been that way for 30 years. So that's really
cool. Nice.
That's the way it is here too.
Nice. Making meal planning and unique recipes available on your website seems to be important to Primal Palate. Could you explain how the My Kitchen works?
Sure. So basically the thing that we came up with a few years ago, I mean, we weren't the first to come up with it, but we realized we wanted to develop it for our site, is making a meal planning tool available to anyone that uses the site. So basically the way that it works is anytime you find a recipe on the site that you like, there's like a little gold plus sign on it, and that basically saves a recipe to a list of favorites for you. And when you go into My Kitchen, which is what we call our meal planner, you have a list of favorite recipes that you've saved, and you can literally just drag and drop them into a meal plan. And by default, we have it set up as a week, but we've also recently just implemented, literally last week, we just launched 3 different, like basically pre-planned meal plans. One is like a Go Paleo type meal plan. One is an autoimmune protocol meal plan, and the other is like a sugar-free sort of meal plan in case you're looking for something like really strict or doing like a, sugar elimination from your diet sort of thing. So, but it's a really easy tool to use. The improvements we just made to it make it completely mobile friendly. Like we had an app that was doing this before, and the app was actually really hard to manage. It was a lot of, it was a big investment. I mean, making an app costs a tremendous amount of money, and we made it a free app, which was sort of crazy for how much money we invested in it. But at the end of the day, we sort of realized that if we're going to make the site mobile friendly, we're going to make the meal planning on the site mobile friendly too. It sort of made the app obsolete. But it's all mobile friendly. You can drag and drop no matter where you're seeing it on your mobile device or your desktop. You can print a shopping list from it. You can change serving sizes of recipes. So if you're feeding a family of 6 or something like that, you can change all your recipes to serve 6, and that'll change your shopping list too. So it's a really great tool. We've been working on it for years. I think we're really only just starting to see it to its potential, and we have some interesting ideas of opening up meal planning to other people on the site too. But we're really excited about it, and we know that it's really helpful for people that like to do a lot of cooking at once, or they can only cook dinners, or they have a variety of different sort of dietary restrictions and they need a plan to go paleo or do AIP or something like that. So it's been a really neat tool to have on the site, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds really neat. I eat mostly on the autoimmune protocol diet, but not quite. So it's exciting to see that that's starting to get delineated out a little bit so we can plan our meals around that.
Yeah, there's a lot of awareness about it now, how it can be beneficial to people that have autoimmune conditions, and we just really wanted to be a part of the solutions available for that. Even though we don't follow AIP, we don't necessarily really need that for ourselves, but we do know that a lot of our followers are doing that, and it's really difficult. It's difficult to follow. It's with the choices being so limited that it sort of takes a little bit of the joy away from eating, and we wanted to be part of bringing the joy back with some good recipes and some really tasty spice blends.
On Paleo Gardening, we are passionate about teaching skills that increase the affordability of high-quality foods. So do you have any suggestions for making paleo more affordable?
Sort of have 2 ideas about that one. The first is that anyone that has eaten paleo for any length of time will tell you that when you go to the grocery store, it's not really the fruits and vegetables that are really expensive. It's like the meat. So watching for things like grass-fed beef to go on sale, or trying to get in on like a cow share with your local farmer, like those are things that are really good for bringing down the cost of the meat, because that's really where you're going to spend the bulk of your money, far more than half, I would imagine.
Yeah, a lot of the recipes we post also aren't like, you won't see a bunch of recipes on our website for like grass-fed, ribeye steaks or
filet,
filet or things like that. Like we really try and, you know, for ourselves and for, you know, people who visit our website for recipes, you know, we try and post things that are, you know, realistic for people, because realistically we don't eat ribeye steaks every night, you know. So we really just, we try and do the best that we can, and it definitely can get expensive, and you know, we're really into gardening ourselves. We're actually kicking ourselves this year because we've had such a warm winter that we could have had lettuce up until like through Christmas, basically.
Definitely. Uncovered too.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know, obviously things like that, like, can be really helpful. You know, growing your own food or herbs can be really helpful, but I think doing things like, you know, just like in our most recent cookbook, we list for produce, you know, we have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, because there's a lot of people that think, they've even commented on our Instagram, like, oh, well, I thought if I wasn't eating all organic produce, then I wasn't paleo. You know, and that's the sort of thing that makes me really sad, because people think they're not doing it right because they're not getting everything organic all of the time. And we always just tell people to just do the best that you can, you know, like having some non-organic produce and, you know, some grass-fed ground beef doesn't mean that you're not paleo. It just means you're doing what you can with what you've got. So,
yeah, I mean, nobody can hit 100%, but you try. You know, you hit 80,
right.
90%, and
yeah, we don't
swing
either.
and play where you can.
Yeah, we really try. You know, for like the really, you know, the stuff that you really know. Like we never buy non-organic berries. You know, that sort of stuff. Like, you know, it's sort of like the thing where you can't unknow the information that you get. Like you can't forget.
Yeah, once you know, you're doomed.
Yeah, once you know, you can't really forget it. But we try and do what we can, and I think for a lot of people, like people in paleo, they do end up spending most of their money on food, because that's, you know, that becomes their main priority, you know. And we have some friends that, you know, will say, like, you know, if your health is suffering, or if, you know, you really need this diet to help you heal, then, you know, kind of look around you and see where you can, like maybe you're spending a lot of money on shoes when you've got a closet full of shoes, and that money can start going towards food, you know, that sort of thing.
So on your blog, you mentioned your backyard chicken coop. So how has it gone to incorporate livestock into your busy schedule?
It's, you know, it's so funny. We have had the chickens 1 year and a day. We got them a year ago yesterday as day-old chicks. So I guess they all had their birthdays 2 days ago, and we missed it.
Yeah.
But we started off with 8 day-old chicks, and we have 7 now.
One of them ended up being a rooster, and we can't have
that happens.
We named all of them after songs about women, and Lola started crowing. So,
oh no!
Lola had to go to a farm. We gave Lola to a friend who said they could have another rooster. So, as far as we know, Lola has not been dinner, but we aren't sure.
Or ask.
Yeah.
But having the chickens has been really cool. We started them off primarily indoors for the first 2 months when we had them. When they were just like little peeps, we actually had them in the house because it was warm and we could keep an eye on them. And then as it got closer to spring, we moved them to our garage, and then finally we moved them outside. And we've learned a heck of a lot from having them. Like the first chicken coop that we bought for them was like really expensive and really small, sort of like a designer-looking coop. And, you know, you sort of realize after 3 or 4 months with them that you go, geez, like this is totally not the right thing. We ended up getting an Amish-made coop that basically just looks like a little half-size shed. And that was like a half of the price, and it's 4 or 5 times the size of what we had before, and just really well made. And you know, we definitely made some mistakes along the way, but we've
kept them alive.
Yeah, they
yeah,
kept them alive.
That's the important part.
Yeah, one of the pages that we sort of follow for chicken advice is it's called Fresh Eggs Daily. It's this woman who basically just blogs about her ducks and chickens. She now lives in Maine, but one of the things that I read on her website was that a lot of people will like supplement the chickens with light in the winter months to keep them laying eggs, and she was sort of an advocate against that and just giving the chickens a break and letting their natural sort of circadian, you know, cycles of laying eggs sort of taper off during the winter. So we honestly can't even keep up with all the eggs that we get anyway, so we definitely weren't supplementing them with any additional light. We were letting them taper off this year. But they've been great. We have 4 of the chickens are sex links, and for people that aren't familiar with chickens, they're called sex links because their sex is linked to their color at time of hatching. So you have a greater chance of getting females, which is what most people want, unfortunately for the males. So we have 4 of those, and we have an Americana, which sort of lays these blue-green sort of eggs. And
we have a speckled Sussex, and we have a Dominique, and they're all really sweet. They're all really sweet girls, and they actually can see us from our dining room door and our kitchen window, and if we walk back and forth, they'll like follow us, and if we walk out on the deck, they start talking to us and basically asking us to let them out because they have a big run, but we don't let them totally free range all the time because there's a lot of dogs in our neighborhood, and they like to just wander through our neighbors' yards and
kick the mulch out of their gardens.
And
yeah, they're little troublemakers.
They're little troublemakers, but we have them trained a little bit. They will come when we shake their treat bag, and actually they come when I clap for them too, which is pretty funny. But they're really sweet. Like, I don't know how smart chickens are, but they seem like they like us. So they're really friendly. They actually, I think because we have a dog, they're not afraid of dogs. Someone's dog got into our yard, and luckily it was a really sweet dog, and she just went up to their fence, and they all went up to the dog, and like they were like, who are you?
Yeah, that'll be their undoing someday.
Yeah.
We're like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
But they were like all nose to nose with this dog, and they were like, who are you? What are you doing here? So that was pretty funny, but we really love having
them. Sounds like
them.
the chickens are going well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great. We need more backyard chickens. You know? They can eat your scraps, they can make you food, they can make you fertilizer.
The composting game has gone to the next level because of them. It's like we're going to have some really fantastic compost when the winter's over. Because we do grow so many vegetables, I've tried to be a little bit careful about cycling the compost or the chicken manure in with the compost, just so that we don't get any like pathogens. But if everything winters over and freezes, then it should be okay to use. So I'm trying to sort of cycle through it, but it's an interesting little experiment.
So recently you released a new spice pack for the autoimmune protocol community. So what is the process for developing spice mixes that meet the paleo standards?
Well, for us, it was really important that we had organic spices. We actually started down the spice road like 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, which is crazy to think.
And sourcing the herbs and spices was difficult. We had a lot of trouble finding, sources that even knew whether or not the herbs and spices were non-GMO or not. And we were like, well, that's a big problem. So organic was really important to us. And the freshness of the herbs and spices is really important. Our spices are bottled right before they're shipped, so they're extremely fresh, very potent. We warned people that we had garlic for a little while, and it was intense. Like, use a little bit less than you typically would because it's really potent stuff. And then our packing facility, or our bottling facility, is actually an allergen-free facility. There's no nuts, or we've had some. We're very careful with the certification. So like all of our spices are certified gluten-free. They're non-irradiated, organic, non-GMO. They're certified kosher. And one of the things that we actually didn't check on was it was like the one thing we missed. We got some comments from people, and they were like, are these packaged in a nut-free facility because my child is severely allergic to nuts, and if they are not, then I can't buy them. And we double-checked, and our facility is also free of all nuts. So they're pretty much safe for anyone who has some serious food allergies, which is great, because that was another thing that was really important to us, because, we've got people with celiac disease that follow our website, and, people with other autoimmune diseases, and people with severe nut allergies, and it was really important to us that we developed a product that really everyone could eat.
The gluten testing that we undergo for the spices is it's actually 10 times more strict than what the FDA requires for gluten-free. I guess the FDA requires no more than 20 parts per million for gluten, and I know that ours get they only get certified if there's the tolerance is down to 2.5 parts per million, so it's almost 10 times more stringent than the FDA. So yes, it's really good for people that have celiac. I know somebody at one point, it's sort of an aside, somebody came back and said, are these 0 parts per million? I said, well, I don't think that's the standard in the industry. It's, I know the FDA requires 20 parts per million. We're about 10 times more strict than that, but they're really good for people that have that sort of concern, to know that the testing is so strict for them that they're they can eat them with confidence.
Great. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the extra effort to make sure that they meet all these standards, and some people can feel safe ingesting them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people have enough to worry about. They shouldn't worry about the quality of the spices they're buying, so we really wanted to make sure that it would be one less thing for people to worry about. They could feel confident when they cook with them that they're going to taste great, and they're obviously not going to make them sick.
And Bill and I, of course, we're also consumers that read labels and are very careful about ingredients that are in our food. So it was really just sort of second nature to us. It wasn't just because we wanted to create something that, is a standard that we would look for when we're buying food also.
So are there any exciting projects you both are working on for the future that you can tell us about right now?
One of the things that we're starting to work on right now, it does relate back to the meal planning. We are going to start partnering with various people in the community to release a greater diversity of meal plans on the site. So we've got some different people that we're going to approach, but ultimately I think we're going to open it up so that anybody can create a meal plan on our site and share it with anyone else. It's unfortunately, it's a technology that's really costly and guarded on other sites that actually have meal planning. They charge people an arm and a leg for it, and we just really like the community aspect of our website and allowing people to share recipes, and we feel like meal plans and collections of recipes like that all should be a part of the community experience on our site. So it's something we're definitely working towards on our site, just trying to make greater opportunities for people to share recipes in various useful ways on the site.
Besides that, we're really just focusing a lot of our energy and attention on our line of spices. We have a lot more ideas for that. We've gotten a lot of requests from people, so we're trying to slowly, develop everything that our followers have requested from us, and getting the autoimmune friendly blends out was a huge achievement for us. We were just so excited for those because we knew how much they were needed in the community. But we're really excited about our line of spices, and we're really just focusing most of our attention on that right now because it's getting really great feedback, and it's something that's really fun for us. So.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to get up there and order me some, because when you're cooking autoimmune, food does get boring. And all you have to do is change those spice mixes, and all of a sudden you have a totally new dish. And that makes it really fun.
Yeah, with AIP, it's so easy to just, season everything with salt, and it's so overwhelming. And that was like, even though Bill and I are not, neither of us have an autoimmune disease. We have family members who do, and we have friends who do, and we just see how limiting it can be or feel, and it can be, the last thing you want is for the diet that's supposed to heal you to stress you out, because that's not going to heal you, right? So,
Right.
So we really wanted to create something, for the AIP community, because, even though we're technically not in it, we're still in it with everyone. We're here as a form of support for everyone in the AIP community, and we knew that there was no way that we could launch a line of spices and spice blends without offering something fantastic for the AIP community, because, there aren't any other spice companies that are going to do that, because they don't really know about, nightshades and things like that people with autoimmune conditions can't have. So it was just something that was just really, really important to us, and we're just going to keep trying to accommodate everyone, because that's what we're about.
So your work has helped so many, and there are many of us who would like to see you continue. So how can anyone listening stay involved in your work?
Probably the best place to follow us is Instagram. We're pretty active on Instagram, and we post about our spices. We announced our new spices on Instagram, and we always link to new blog posts on Instagram. They can also join our email list. Our email list is a great way to stay in touch, because we also send out updates through there. Sometimes we're on Periscope. We just started using Snapchat too, but we don't really understand it. So
I feel like we're using something for little kids.
Yeah.
It's sort of weird.
Yeah. But probably Instagram is one of the best places to follow along, and then our email.
And that can be found on our website. The website's really the place where you can find everything.
Okay.
So, primalpalate.com
Great.
is where people can go, and they can see the spices there and links to all the great recipes. We have almost 2,000 recipes on the website. And
Wow.
the meal planner and the dietary filters and all that stuff, it's all there. So that's the place.
That sounds great. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, it was a lot of fun. Thanks.